If I was starting from scratch with launching my first ever group program or even relaunching something, right? And maybe you've had a bit of a break from your marketing or you just don't feel like you have loads of momentum, I'm going to share with you the exact actions I would take to build that momentum and launch and your group program to be a success in September without doing like a really full on launch. So without 36 pages of launch plans and like a massive launch event that feels super high pressure. These are the actions I would take if I wanted a slow build to attract the right people and in September have a successful launch. Now, I'm recording this in mid-May, so you've got 3 good months with a bit of playtime ahead of September to build this momentum. Now, the first thing I would do is get really clear on the problem I solve. And this is becoming even more important these days because people don't have tons of disposable cash. So it's always been true that we act when something is a bleeding neck problem, when it's a priority problem for us. We don't heavily invest in nice to haves all the time, and it's very hard to build your business on selling a nice to have service. So you need to look at a segment of your audience who are in enough pain, and you need to understand this problem inside out, and you need to understand the transformation you deliver and how you deliver it. And that is the thing to get clear on before you do anything else. You can use AI to help with this. You can ask it questions like create an avatar, what's keeping them up at night, what solutions have they already tried, what are they scared to admit, what's the exact language they would use, because then you want to show up as an expert speaking about this problem. Which brings me on to my second point, which is I'd get really visible now in one core place. I speak to so many people who are spreading themselves thin across 4 platforms, repurposing across LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. The reality is these platforms change too fast for you to stay abreast of 4 platforms unless you have a big team. So unless you've got a big team implementing this with you, choose one core place, and you can partner that with an email list, right? So it could be Instagram and an email list. For me, it's my Facebook group, my Facebook profile, and an email list. Because on that platform, you then want to show up speaking about the problem that you've identified. This is before you've created the offer, before you've gone down a rabbit hole of creating and recording the modules. You don't want to do any of that stuff until you've started tuning in your audience's attention to the thing that you're going to be talking about, like the offer that you're going to be launching. And the goal here is to be building relationships and trust ahead of the launch. And this is the thing that lays the foundations for the success of the launch. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the problem. Second, we're going to show up in one core place, talking about the problem you solve before you've defined the offer properly. And just getting everyone's attention tuned in, saying things like, here's what I've noticed. These are the patterns that I see showing up. Here's what I see going on right now. So you've got the right people listening. The third thing I would do is focus on growing my audience further. Aim to add 200 to 300 ideal clients, so who have this really specific problem, to your audience. Now, how you do this is going to depend on whatever is working for you right now to get in front of new people and to bring them into your world. This is the key, right? How do you bring them into your world so you can keep contacting them and keep sharing your message? For me, I run ads. So if I wanted to launch in September, I would be ramping up my audience growth. Now, I run ads all the time, but if I didn't, I would be getting a very aligned lead magnet that pre-qualifies people for my program. So by definition, if someone wants the lead magnet, they'll want the group program. Now, this is where we see a lot of people go wrong in my program Amplify when we help people with this piece, is that if you keep your lead magnet general, you will attract a general audience. For example, if you have a group program that helps women in perimenopause and you help them get rid of night sweats and lose weight, for example, but you have a lead magnet called 10 foods to avoid in perimenopause if you're tired, you're going to attract anyone who has perimenopause that is tired, but not necessarily the group of people that want to lose weight and are having night sweats. So you need to target your lead magnet, for example, 9 foods that will reduce intense night sweats during perimenopause. So you're speaking to the people that have a big enough problem to buy your group program. So I'd be running ads to my lead magnet. I would ramp up my budget on that. So I was growing my email list of aligned people that might want the thing I have to offer. If you don't have an audience growth strategy that's working really well for you right now, then I would instead, for example, if this was a completely new niche that I was going after and I had no one in front of me, I would 100% be using partnerships and getting in front of other people's audiences. So I would be reaching out to contacts and saying, hey, can I come to a guest talk in your membership, in your Facebook group, in your community? I'd love to teach on this topic that I think would be massively beneficial for your audience because I've already researched and I know who that is. And in those talks, I would be looking to bring those people back into my world by offering them a lead magnet, for example, and say, hey, connected to this talk, I created this awesome guide for you. Come grab it here. And I'd get them on my email list now. Let me know, by the way, if you've got any questions as we go through this. So the next thing I would do, I'm already talking about my offer. I'm already focused on growing my audience further. Next thing I think is how can I quietly test my offer before it's finalized? Now, there's different ways you can do this. Best way is to hop on a call and do some market research. It doesn't matter how established in business you are, there is nothing that beats that kind of real-time feedback where you're chatting through your ideas, where you're hearing someone talk about their struggles. Another route that I did with my mastermind last year is I put all the details in a Google Doc. I put a post in my Facebook group saying, hey, I'm looking for some feedback for people that meet this description to help me craft my offer. And I had 20 people feedback on that offer and it was so valuable. It helped me shape it. It made me realize some people that were misaligned. It made me realize that I needed to put in-person meetups and it just made the offer stronger. Another thing I did with a previous mastermind is I got 6 of my best clients on a call together in a group call. And I said, I just want you to tell me what you're looking for in a mastermind. And I wrote down all of their words and none of them were looking to join a mastermind. They were all like, yeah, we'll feedback. We're not looking to join anything. And then I wrote up their words in the offer and sent it to them. And all of them, every single one of them joined that mastermind. So this is the kind of real-time market directed offers that we can create. So once you've tested your offer and sense checked that the thing you are creating is the thing your audience wants and it's articulated in their language, rather than where we can fall into as experts is creating the thing they need that's articulated in our language or the language that we think they are using. So once you've tested it, the next thing I would do is decide your sales process. Now, the reason I say this is because I've really seen this black hole, this sort of no man's land happen between wanting to sell your offer and selling it. I notice this with clients. If they aren't 100% clear on the process of selling the thing, they get a bit confused with leads and it makes it very uncompelling, if that's a word. And I actually had this experience recently myself with a retreat. I'm selling a retreat for the first time. It's a new kind of experience selling a retreat, but different from selling the kind of services I normally do. And I'd put an application and people completed the application. And then I realized I didn't know the next step. I was like, oh, people have applied. Do I send them a checkout link? Am I getting them on a call? And that confusion created like an uneasy ground for me and for them, which makes it harder for people to jump in confidently. So you need to decide, are you going to be having a chat over DMs, for example, on Instagram and Facebook and leading them to a Google Doc or a sales page? Are you going to be inviting people to a sales call? Be really clear whether you're selling it on a call or in some form of written, a Google Doc or a sales page, and then stick to it. Try not to do like half and half or some people on one and some people on the other, because it will confuse you and it will become confusing for them because you won't seem confident in your process. So if I'm selling a higher ticket program, if it's going to be a few £1,000s and up, I'm going to get on a call with people. So all of my marketing is going to be getting people to raise their hand and jump on a call with me or just directly to a call link. If I'm selling people on a Google Doc, which is just a document with my offer written on, then I'm going to chat back and forth with them and I'm going to write that script so I know the questions I'm going to ask them to check and qualify they are the right people before I send them the sales page or the Google Doc, for example. Right, once I decided that and I'd articulated the offer, I would then sell quietly behind the scenes in July. So this is for all of the people that you started conversations with, past clients, anyone you can think of that could be a great fit for this. When you personalize your early enrollment, it means you get quick wins and sales before you even take it to market. And it does wonders for your mindset and your energy and your momentum if when you take this publicly to market, you can already say, oh, I've sold 5 spots already, half the spots are gone. So take it to people and just say, are you interested in this? I'm opening a new group. I thought of you. I wrote your name down on my list. Would you like to have a conversation about whether this could be a good fit for you? So build momentum early. The next thing I would do to prep for September is take August off, because I always take August off. So in order to do this and not lose all momentum, I would schedule my marketing for August that kept people warm, that let them know something was coming, that I'm going to be opening enrollment soon, just really showing my credibility around the subject matter, the results that I get my clients. So when I come back in September, I can then open doors and market this publicly. So when I come back in September, this is what I would do. I would have a 2 to 3 week promotional window, and I personally don't do massive launches anymore. So I would run a workshop for my kind of maybe crowd, for the people that are on the fence and want to maybe find out a bit more about me. But mainly I would lean into email marketing, and I would be sharing now more time sensitive content saying doors are open, and sharing my point of view, sharing case studies, sharing FAQs, helping people overcome considerations that they might have, shifting perspectives and mindsets, and then inviting people to this workshop where I'm going to again go deeper on this and give people the opportunity to buy with a clear deadline in place if my group program has a start date, as it might do if you're starting in September. So the big thing is that when you stack action like this, step by step, in quite a logical manner, you're going to build momentum slowly. You're going to have conversations with the right people. You're going to get early sales in, but you're going to come back in September for a conscious sales period. And if you do all of this stuff, you set yourself in the best possible way to sell out your group program in September. But the work starts now, sowing the seeds, showing up as an authority, and having the conversations. If you want to go deeper on this, I'll share a link to my workshop series where I take you step by step through the 3 core elements to build and grow your group program. And if you found it useful, as always, I'd love to hear in the comments what resonated with you.